So Dan, having been in the in-flight gaming business since its creation, pretty much, what have you learned about the unique preferences and desires of the transumer, the consumer in transit? What kind of entertainment do passengers want in flight?
I would say that one of the important points that we've learned regarding games, and in particular amusement games in flight, is that we have to keep in mind the flight duration and consequently the attention span and the suitability of the type of game content that we're offering to the passengers. So for this reason, accessible games, primarily in the casual gaming genre, are the games that we feel are most appropriate for the transumers. These games are accessible, they're designed to appeal to wide audiences, every demographic, and offer engaging gameplay, but don't typically require following a long and in-depth storyline. So examples of the casual game genre would be Zuma, Bejeweled, these well-known consumer titles, Tetris, that sort of.
So the idea of in-flight gambling isn't new. In fact, for a period in the mid-90s, I believe airlines like Singapore and Virgin Atlantic and Swissair had video poker terminals installed on board. Why do you think it's taken so long for somebody to come along and make a serious and focused offering in this space? What's that gap there?
Well, actually, the principals of my company, FlightBet, Gordon Stevenson and myself can speak very well to that. We were involved with the gambling launch on Singapore Airlines in '97 and '98. As you've correctly pointed out, there have been a few efforts to introduce the concept of in-flight gambling to the transumer, and for various reasons, those efforts have not led to the wide-scale adoption of in-flight gambling as an entertainment option. In the early days of in-flight gambling, I would have to say that there were various technical obstacles to the successful implementation of an in-flight gambling service. You have to remember that these were the early days of interactive in-flight entertainment systems. We've come a long way since then, multiple generations of IFE systems. Today's consumers, additionally, are more familiar with the concept of electronic gambling in general. Nowadays, with the advent of internet gambling and remote gambling on cell phones and various consumer devices, the consumer is just more familiar with the concept. So we've got advanced IFE systems, we've got consumers who are receptive to the concept of electronic gambling, and we think that the time is right to reintroduce the concept to the market.
So there can be a stigma around gambling as a concept. What kind of reactions have you gotten from airlines and the public about FlightBet? Have you had to cut through that stigma, and how have you done that?
Well, one thing that I'd like to point out is that our proposal is purely a low-stakes entertainment option. We're not interested in providing a high-stakes casino-style experience to the transumer. I guess the best way to put it is that we're interested in entertaining the transumer. We're interested in entertaining the passenger. We want to make a little bit of money doing it, and we want to generate a little bit of incremental revenues for the airline in doing so. And we don't have to have high-stakes gambling to do that. So the first, on this point, the first point is that by virtue of the FlightBet program being implemented as a low-stakes gambling solution, we've eliminated most of what people perceive as, correctly or incorrectly, as various social ills associated with in-flight gambling. There are some additional, more subtle aspects to this. One is the control, basically, of the interpersonal dynamic between consumers, players in the aircraft cabin. For example, we only offer gambling man versus machine. We don't have man versus man gambling along a style of Texas Hold'em poker or some other type of similar game, and the reason is because we don't want to introduce a potentially undesirable social dynamic into the cabin. So really, I guess what I'd say is we haven't this really isn't a huge concern for the airlines we've spoken with regarding our program. They understand that it is low stakes. It's just enough to make a little bit of money and have hopefully a lot of fun.